and gentlemen, here's Jerry.
If, by chance, there's a scale of some kind, the scale would read from 1 until 65, he was total energy. From 65 to 87, he was trying to get some rest.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for coming, and thank you for that lovely welcome. I think I have to explain that this is a present that I bought for me on my 87th birthday. When I was 27, I didn't need a chair, a bed, or anything. I just walked out and carried on for a while. But it's amazing when you get to 87 how certain parts of your body demand that you pay attention.
The things that you think will happen when you get into the older years happen. They do. You walk slower, you breathe faster, your heart goes up and down, faster, slower. Your legs feel like two extensions of some kind of a noisy machine. You just can't get up and dance crazy for 30 minutes. That's gone. I still believe I could do everything I did when I was 35 if I plan it, if I steal a shtick here that's easier to do than that one, and adjust here and steal a couple of the things that I learned over the years, put them all together, mash them up, put them in the oven, give it 65, 75 seconds, pull it out, and you got a funny shtick.
I love all of the posters around the hotel. Jerry Lewis live beats the hell out of the alternative, I'll tell you that.
I do a gig here, I do a concert there, I'm talking about directing a film in Europe. I'm busy, but not like it used to be. Right. Okay, stay with it, honey. You're not going to make much money with this deal. Why don't you get something for banking? And call me. It works both ways. This phone, the minute I dialed your number, you picked it up. And mine would work the same way if you called me. You know, you putz. 8, 9, 10, Jack, Queen, King, Ace, A, B, C, D, E, F, You got it, Terry. Yeah. Thank you. The people that do the work, that get limelight up there, the people that do the work don't know it's the best time of their lives. They have to get out of it based on age and remember those best times of their lives. I can remember the first frame of anything I ever shot as a director. And I dream of it sometimes. I dream of that shot. And I called my dad after I finished the first shooting day of Bellboy. And he said, "How'd it go?" I said, "Dad, I can't believe that I knew the things I didn't know I knew." He said, "Bravo, that's great." When you get an experience like I had, that's a 1 in a million shot for an actor, for a director, for a writer, for the creator of anything that relates to film.
Now that your desperate attempt at having a good time's flunked, have no fear. buddies here.
Nutty Professor was an idea that I had. Dean and I were playing the Chez Paree in Chicago. And I was getting very annoyed with 3 shows a night because I had stuff in here I had to do. One afternoon I sat down at the typewriter and I wrote a treatment, a 3-page treatment of why I think Robert Louis Stevenson wrote his book so I could do it. Because I believed that if you want comedy to sit in the foreground of your work, have something that frames itself around that gives an audience a moment of understanding where it's coming from, where it's going to go. I sent Frank Caffey my first draft. And the first draft I wrote was on my boat. First draft. I wrote it in January, then I continued in May, then I gave it some time in July, a little in August, a little a shtick here in September, and then I went and made it. I mean, I dreamed about the son of a bitch for 30 years before I shot it. I always kept coming back to Robert Louis Stevenson. I said, that son of a bitch wrote this knowing I was coming. When we ran it in Riverside, first preview, I knew it that night because everything worked. Everything worked. I knew I had lightning in a bottle. So I went back to the studio the next day and cleaned up some things that didn't belong in there. And it was really just chambermaiding in the room, making it neat. And then when it started to explode, ticket-wise and audience-wise, I knew what I had. Some of the dumb jokes are marvelous because they make you think. And they make you think so that you're now part of hearing the joke. Like, for example, childlike jokes are wonderful. Do you know what a wrench is, sir? A wrench? That's where Jewish cowboys live. A wrench.
Your films are dubbed for different countries, right?
Yeah.
Do you have special people that do the dubbing? That you approve? Because, I mean, I was talking to somebody about that with some of your films, and they were saying, it's the voice. How could somebody possibly, you know...
They get close.
They do.
The French, the guy in France is wonderful. The guy in Germany is equally as wonderful. The guy in Tokyo I want to meet. I was in Atlantic City. I opened at the 500 Club. And on the show was a guy named Jack Randall, a singer. He got sick. The boys that talked like that came to me and said, you know, someone we can bring in. I said, my friend Dean Martin just closed in Chicago. He's available. Well, now, we don't want another singer. I said, oh, but he's not another singer. He does stuff with me, and it's funny. Okay, they bring him in. He does the first show, 3 songs. I do my act, and it's over. Then in my dressing room, there's 4 guys waiting to talk to me. What happened to those things you two were supposed to do together? I said, well, we're still rehearsing. So really? If you're rehearsing after the second show, we've got cement shoes for both of you. I go back to see him, and I said, look, we got to do something. He said, do what you want, I'll follow you. We did 2¼ hours the second show. 2¼ hours. And it was insanity. And I had touched on a little nerd end in him that sparked him, and vice versa. Unbelievable. 50 years ago, John Kennedy gave me a plaque. It was a gift. And it was a quote that somewhere in the history books he had read. And it read, there are 3 things that are real: God, human folly, and laughter.
Since the first two are beyond our comprehension, we must do the best we can with the third. And I try to do the best I can with the third. And I see people all over the world wanting desperately to laugh. And laughter is the best medicine. It's going to keep you strong and give you complete old age. So when you're 87, you can have a chair.
Always given the kid within the greatest respect. And that's a respect of decision making as well as choices of material. I loved when I was contradicted by my own back here, the place where we keep all the secrets. But there are some things that come only then that you're going to have to make decisions about. An edit. An edit could take me 8 seconds or 8 days. Nothing in between. I worked 8 days on one sequence until I got it exact and then cut it. I was very conscious of color because as a kid, I heard my dad say, color is for the living and black and white is for the dead. It was his way of putting color where it belonged in the equation and black and white where it belonged. But I always remembered that. He said, if you see an accident in the street, the blood is red. It's not black and white. It's red blood. And I never forgot that. It takes you to a different dimension when you put in your mind a lock at something. Then you're locked into it and you love it, you stay locked. I think I did better color in The Ladies' Man. And I think, well, when you look at the one product, you can pick a couple of things in it that shouldn't be, a couple of things that made it work, a couple of other things that will work better over here. The decision-making process is a tough one because when you say we go, you can't come back from that. In the last 3 or 4 years, I have had the most fun coming to work because I wait for this particular spot in the show where I do a Q&A with the audience. And the wonderful part about that is that you never know what's going to happen. And I remember one night a lady yelled out, "Hey Jerry, how'd you get your start?" I said, "My father jumped on my mother. That's all I know." And the fun is that you do not know what people in the audience are going to come up with. Now we have a microphone here and a light, and we have a microphone here and a light. And for you to come up and start this conversation, it would be wonderful. Look at the people running to come up. Holy Christ, we'll be here for a minute. I have a gentleman at the microphone. Yes, sir.
When you went into directing, aren't you one of the guys that invented the side thing? Didn't you invent the side thing to show the what they were showing, the clips?
It's called the video assist.
Yeah, you invented that, right?
Right.
Exactly. I was wondering if that was true. Last question is, who were some of your heroes?
Who were some of my heroes?
Yeah, I mean, I know you're one of the greatest, but who were some of your that, inspired you?
Well, let's start with Dr. Michael DeBakey. Then we move on to John Fitzgerald Kennedy. I have a very strong love in my heart for Bobby Kennedy. And there are people like that, including Sister Teresa, and the people that do great stuff for other people. I've always been most affected by a man or a woman who's working their hearts out for someone in trouble or for others. And it's a good way to feel because it'll take you through life very nicely. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Well, music was always such an important part of everything you did, starting from the Frank Sinatra songs during your pantomime routines.
Oh God, you're going back a ways.
Yeah, but in looking at the films, how you use the music to set up the mood, the situation.
Comedic timing.
Yeah, the timing and having the orchestras, Count Basie, Les Brown, Harry James.
Woody Herman. I was always motivated by, when I write, I go right to the music and I play it all the time. Just so I can hear it. It's not the kind of playing that becomes annoying because it's too loud, none of that stuff. And I put the music track on and I would write to the music. You know, you finish the picture,
Right.
and before you go to editing,
Right.
before you go to any post-production, you cue the movie. You sit with the orchestrator and you tell, here's what I want. Now there's nothing done in this movie, music-wise. It doesn't happen until I say, mark that, and we go. I had a very unnerving day, midpoint of Nutty Professor. And I was feeling something and I didn't know what, but I had a great first assistant. He knew everything going on. And I said, what is this, what do I feel here today? So I went home that night and I sat down at the typewriter and I wrote instructions on being a person. And I had the studio printing shop print what I've written after giving it to John Jensen, who was my sketch artist. I said, John, put this into a cartoon form, 3 frames per sheet. So I ordered 250 books and I handed them out personally the next morning to everyone that came on the stage, that worked on the stage. And it was for that night and that group only. They appreciated the time I took. They appreciated that I went home, I wasn't with my wife and family, I didn't have dinner, I was at the typewriter. They respected that.
I just wanted to know if there's anything that you have on your bucket list or that you haven't accomplished yet in your life.
You mean something I hope to do?
Yes, sir.
I want to be a Viking. I have such a love for fish. But if that comes true, you'll read about it.
On a serious note, though, seriously, is there anything? I mean, you've done so much.
You know, in other words, what I said doesn't mean anything? Are you going to be here again tomorrow? There isn't anything that I can honestly say I think about because I've been blessed. I've been blessed in that at 14 years old, I was earning a living. And at 18 years old, I met my partner. And for 10 years, we did very well. And after that, I've been doing what I've been doing. So I'm very blessed and very grateful for all the time that I've been given. I'm planning on a lot more.
That's great. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, you've been a hell of an audience, I'll tell you that. I'd like to come here again tomorrow. But they tell me someone else is here. I thank you for your humor, for your understanding, and more than anything, your patience. I appreciate the fact that you're here. I hope we can get together again sometime soon, whether it'll be in Vegas or wherever you folks are. I'll try to come there and entertain you. And the one thing that you have to do is when you're a performer and you're ready to leave the stage, my dad used to say, give them something to think about. Not so much to see, but to hear. A statement that you believe in. With that in mind, I'd like to say, a friend in need is a pest. You've been wonderful, and thank you for coming, and have a great night, and I hope you win when you gamble. Good night. Thank you.
Bye.
Is that an airplane? Are they flying, really? The brothers pulled it off? Jesus Christ. Wow, I gotta get my public relations guy. Oh yeah, hello Bob, I didn't know you were here. Listen, did you hear about the airplane?